Okay, can somebody, anybody, tell me what are significant figures? What are significant figures? Okay, so we know that significant figures are the number of digits in a value. And we often use significant figures when we're talking about measurement. They contribute to the degree of the accuracy of a value. So let's take a look at this ruler. We have a ruler at the top, a ruler at the bottom, and in the center of the ruler is a shaded rectangle. Looking at the top ruler, you can see that the shaded triangle, the length of the shaded triangle is somewhere between 4 and 5 centimeters. So we can estimate it and say that the length of the shaded triangle is between 4 and 5 centimeters. But using the bottom ruler, we can see that the length of the shaded triangle is somewhere between 4.2 centimeters and 4.3 centimeters. So we can estimate it between 4.2 and 4.3 centimeters. So it can be 4.27, 4.28, somewhere between 4.2 and 4.3 centimeters. So here we just use significant figure to determine the length of a shaded rectangle, sorry. So when we talk about significant figures, there are 5 rules. Rule number 1 tells us that if a number contains no zero, that all of the digits are significant. So if a number has no zeros in it, all of the digits are significant. Rule number 2 tells us that all zeros between 2 non-zero digits are significant. All zeros between 2 non-zero digits are significant. Rule number 3 has 2 parts of it. The first part tells us that if a 0 is to the right of a non-zero number, but it is not sandwiched between the non-zero number and a decimal point, then that number is not significant. But if the 0 is sandwiched between a non-zero number and a decimal point, then that number is significant. Rule number 4 tells us that in decimals less than 1, the zeros to the right of the decimal point that are to the left of the first non-zero digit, they are never significant. Those zeros are simply placeholders. Rule number 5 tells us that all zeros to the right of the decimal point and to the right of a non-zero digit, they are significant. So let's go into today's lesson on significant figures.